All right, and we're loading onto the Rift for game number 2. Sam Houston up 1-0 over Team BD. That last game, quite the clinic there for Sam Houston's style. Getting out to quite an impressive performance there on that mid lane area. So interesting to see what Team BD are going to try and do as way of adjustment. It is going to be another Ahri ban away from Big Daddy Colton there. Just denying that comfort, and Team BD obviously feeling like that Zeri was a problem, so they are going to deny that away. And Kane going to join the ban list again, just the same as it did in the last game. Corky, another denial there for Sam Houston style, so Team BD really trying to crimp down on his champion pool, trying to make sure that he doesn't have much he can play. And the denial from Grey Shadow on the Nunu. Not a champion I think is necessarily ban-worthy. It's always interesting to me when people ban this out when they see it in players' champion pool, when they see it as a recently played or even a mastery thing. I think while it does have a tremendous amount of options that it does give teams, I don't think it's necessarily the be-all, end-all of a ban-worthy champion. So interested to see what Sam Houston tries to answer with after having banned that with. So Urgot Valdemar going to be going back to the stock standard that they did the last game. So far, pretty much a rinse and repeat of the last draft. Urgot Valdemar for that top side for Team BD. This time, comp getting rounding out with a Zoe, though, for Sam Houston, and answered on the Anivia. So I actually don't like Zoe with this comp, and I'll tell you why. The Zoe has a tremendous amount of difficulty setting up for team fights, and she's easily picked by a number of members that have mobility. Yes, you know, she can pick up some of those either usable items or some of those abilities that are dropped on the ground, but it's not necessarily enough to save you from any chain of CC, and if Zoe does get hit by anything, it does feel like she just straight up melts. Whereas on the other side of this, I like the pickup for Anivia. It is a fairly safe pick. It does have the Resurrect on the egg, has fantastic AoE damage, has a lot of CC, and does a lot of good zone control. So does what Zoe wants to do, but in my opinion does a little bit better. Obviously that'll, you know, be a little bit of judgment out for how everybody feels about that, but I think Anivia is probably just a better pickup in this comp. And again, just a good team fighting comp again so far for Team BD. Is Miss Fortune going to be the pickup there on the side of Sam Houston? Not an AUC that we've been seeing a lot. A lot of the crit items that we've expected that maybe to hold their own have sort of fallen off over the last couple of months and through the patches. So Sam Houston trying to go with a little bit of an older style ADC, at least as far as patches are concerned, not necessarily what she was when a lot of people were taking that comment draft with her, just able to kind of abuse a lot of that damage that she has both with her AoE and with the Qs, which proc that damage spectacularly. So Seraphine and Lulu get around at the comps for both of those teams. The Seraphine I like is a good answer to Lulu. I think it's a decent enchanter answer to her. I think the AoE ult is pretty good from Seraphine. I think also just the damage in general is pretty good from her. She's a great late game scaling ADC, or sorry, support, which I think brings a tremendous amount of value to any team that's trying to team fight. Looking at these comps, I mean, it's similar to what Team BD wanted to do the last game, but minus a couple of the parts that they had. So just switching out the Anivia for that Syndra, and then instead of the Nami having the Seraphine. So very similar ideas. The Aphelios is interesting in that it serves a similar purpose as the Jinx in having that fantastic late game scaling threat, just in terms of damage, but very, very difficult to protect him without someone just basically standing on the front line. And Sam Houston does have not a lot of backline access, but they do have ways to fight front to back in order to get on top of him. So it is going to be a big deal for Team BD to try and keep Aphelios healthy and make sure that he has plenty of firing time. Now, obviously, late game, Aphelios is just going to win any fight with any set of guns. It starts to matter less whether or not he has red and white, but more it starts to matter what items he has and whether or not he's been shut down recently. And Aphelios that goes relatively unscathed through the early mid game is a very dangerous Aphelios in the late game if he's set up. For Sam Houston, it's pretty much the exact same thing as they wanted to do the last time, looking for picks, trying to set up that split pusher with iLucky and that Gwen, so he got that champion again. Obviously, Team BD not necessarily feeling like that was a particular problem for them, and they did seem to have answers for it, especially ganking iLucky without having the summoners. Didn't have a flash, only had Ghost Teleport, so we're able to punish that on a number of occasions. Yes, iLucky did get that early kill, but for the most part, didn't matter too much. Team BD were able to sort of fight back and make that not matter a whole lot. The biggest thing for me is going to be the pickup of of Udyr again for Grey Shadow, so having that same mobility as an answer to the Volibear. I think for the most part, in terms of that jungle matchup, it was fairly even. I think it was circumstantial just on whether or not either of those junglers were getting good ganks. Just the setup of the lanes, I think, was the biggest difference there. The Zoe obviously is going to give Sam Houston a tremendous amount of poke. Not necessarily what they had with the Zeri just in terms of range, but I would say that the Zeri was obviously the better pick for what they wanted to do and is definitely the better late game champion in terms of consistent team fighting, where Zoe really has to have angles of attack and has to have vision, because if she does get CC'd, she'll get blown up very, very quickly. So it's not necessarily a champion that can just charge forward very safely. And then again, this bot lane a little bit outdated in terms of the thinking with what they want to accomplish with the ADC. I always try and give everything a fair shake, but with this one, it's just difficult. I think especially with the other champions available that Sam Houston had at their disposal to justify going the Misfortune. I mean, the damage just isn't quite what it used to be. Obviously, she's fallen off in popularity because of the changes to comment how it works with her kit, and obviously just a lot of these crit items not being necessarily as good as they used to be, especially when you look at Collector and items like that, not necessarily as strong as some of the the AD items that are out now, especially with some of the lethality options that ADCs have. So interested to see how Sam Houston are going to navigate this fight. Again, similar challenge that they had in the last game, trying to make sure that they can navigate this early game without losing too much, making sure that they can make as best use as they can of that Gwen and of that Udyr to try and get some ganks off early and cover for some of the lane weaknesses, and then make their way into a late game team fight and start to try and control some of these neutral objectives. But again, not a tremendous amount of frontline again, so very squishy comp. Whereas on the side of Team BD, it's business as usual. Try and team fight, control objectives, a lot of zone control, and just make sure that they get their late game carries ahead, get that Aphelios in a spot where he's almost impossible to get on top of. As we are on to the Rift for Game 2, Sam Houston versus Team BD. Righty, as both these teams take the Rift. Again, just a reiteration of what both these teams want to do. Team PD, they had some successes in that game. There were a tremendous number of, I say tremendous number, there were several moments in that game where it looked like that they had really won the game, that they had wrestled control of it. Soros, when scoping out style in the mid lane, just making sure that the Zoe's not doing anything questionable as Colton gets vision on iLucky and Grey Shadow. Swin not willing to step up too close, though. Doesn't want to risk getting CC'd. Doesn't know what style may have decided to level up. May have decided to level up the bubble, which has become so notorious about League of Legends throughout the years. That Zoe bubble that just puts you in a little bit of trouble. And then before you know it, you've been deleted off the map. And sent back into a grace game where you're not allowed to play the game anymore. Because, let's be honest, initial release Zoe was... It was a champion. It was interesting. It's going to be a fairly standard start for both of these junglers, both deciding to start on their bottom side buffs. Udyr going to start on the red. Volley going to start with that blue. Maybe a little bit of faster level 1 for Volley if he can go ahead and clear both the Gromp and the Wolves very quickly. Those aren't necessarily large multi-camps in the Wolves, so it's a little bit quicker to take them. You're not having to balance so many of the Raptors and the little chickens. So possibly a faster level 3 for Volibear, depending on how efficient he is with his pathing. Getting over to it is Udyr making his way over to the Raptors. And this top side, similar to what we saw in the first game, and just Control Alt Delete has the ability to just kind of control the pacing and the spacing. Pacing and spacing, folks. Learning your pacing and spacing. Is able to control both of those in that top lane versus the Gwen, just because early on, Gwen doesn't necessarily have very many answers for the Urgot, who's just able to not only land the autos from a little bit of a farther distance, but also with the shotgunnese has the better damage, so Gwen has to be patient through those first 5 or so levels before she can get to a spot where she can effectively fight the Urgot. Is level 2 ticking about the same time in the bot lane. But again, this Team BD bot lane just getting to an early shove right here, similar as they did last game. So difference is with this Aphelios, a little bit of better damage, but hard to trade onto the Misfortune when she does have that Q, though. Having level 2 obviously gives them a few more options. As I was mistaken, I thought they were already 2. They were not. So Sam Houston just now taking over to level 2 and a stacking wave in the top lane once again for Control Alt Delete. So going to be trying to deny as much of this CS and as much of this gold as he can from iLucky. And manages to get the cannon in that one, though. Control Delete maybe a little bit farther, though. Gray Shadow is here. Control Delete gets the throwback, is going to get stunned, trying to flash out, make his way towards his jungler, but it is probably just going to get run down here, so this is going to be flash there from iLucky, who had the ghost this time. So first blood going the way of Gray Shadow. More than likely would have liked to have seen that gold go on top of the Gwyn, but in the end, you just want to secure the kill, so did what they had to do to make sure that he didn't get away, because Volley was waiting in the wings, and you know, if Control Alt Delete does manage to keep that last quarter of his health bar and make it out of there, you know, there is a world where they might be able to turn that fight. Of course, Gray Shadow was fairly healthy, so it might have just been a null trade, but of course, that didn't happen. Control Alt Delete did go down, blew the flash in the end too, so it's going to be summonerless as far as that ability to get away. But of course, it was traded for the flash for iLucky, so not necessarily in danger from that immediate matchup. Gray Shadow made his way down to the bot. Very, very quick pathing. Loros win. Looking to see if he can punish iLucky. Trying to get on the turret. No, not able to. iLucky living with a sliver of health. Loros just going to force him to back all the way off. Likely going to have to use that teleport to get back to the lane without losing too much, as Control Alt Delete going to try and shove that wave in. It has effectively bounced back towards him. Nothing much going on in the bot lane. Again, just that brief visit from Gray Shadow just to try and put a little bit of pressure on Team BD, but Team BD weathering it fairly well. A little bit, a minor CS lead. Here's all those Qs hurt from Eshkagol. You know, even though Misfortune damage is not necessarily as high as it was, and she's not in the same state as she was 3 or 4 patches ago, those Qs still hurt. You don't want to get tagged by those. You know, you eat a couple of those double ups, and it's difficult to stay in lane for very long without risking death. But Ranger's still able to heal up though, and this is the difference between this game and the last game is with the support difference here between both these lanes is, oh, hold on. Colton going to get slept there in the mid lane. Going to eat that extended Q from Style. Not taking too much damage, though, so it could have been worse. But the difference between the Nami and the Seraphine is just how much easier it is for Seraphine to heal on demand, serving a similar role as the Sona does, just being that obnoxious kind of healing poke champion. And, of course, that late game scaling is nothing to laugh at. She actually becomes deadly in terms of deadly in terms of damage. Something that not a lot of other Enchanter supports can boast, but something that Seraphine does have at her disposal, just able to sort of dip into these healing-denying options in terms of itemization that she has, you know, going items that make use of grievous wounds and things like that, which will be important against champions like Udyr and like this Gwyn. Because it is going to be the Dragon pickup there, 14 BD, so collecting the first one, starting to get this Drake stacking going, in position to contest for the next one if they want to. Obviously, having the first one helps a lot. You don't necessarily see a lot of the stats from the first Drake right away, just because you want to start to try and stack them before you see them really become useful. Is Big Colton going to get drowsy again, has no mana to get out of this though, so he's just going to be forced to walk away and reset, as you're not going to eat that Q, only bounce to the other minion. So Team BD trying to keep up constant pressure in this bot lane, just make sure that they can keep this Sam Houston bot lane contained and limit the capability that Eshkagol is going to have on this game, making sure that Misfortune doesn't necessarily get anything extra. Of course, that's fairly stock and standard when junglers aren't necessarily paying too much attention in the bot lane. It just becomes more about managing the other one. The Style chooses to blow the cleanse there. Sleepy Trouble Bubble going to go wide. Does manage to land the Q on a Colton, so just forcing this mid laner back. Colton having not reset, so is going to have to do so now. As the wave pushing away from his tower. Ping's coming down to the bot lane. As Control Alt Delete is probably just going to die here as he's trying to dash out of this. Gwyn's going to be right behind it, though. Might hide the damage. Can choose to surge this on the tower. Is going to do so. Another pickup for Sam Houston. iLucky going to be the recipient of that one twice. This top laner 14 BD has been killed overextending in this game so far. We're only 7 minutes in. We'll have Flash when he does get back up here, though, but that's not going to be enough of a recompense for all of these plates going down. There's the teleport coming out from Urgot there. 2 plates going down in the end. iLucky could be within ult range there, so he's going to back all the way off, not risking giving any unnecessary gold over to the Urgot. Last thing they would want to do, especially having the effect it had on this top lane, starting to get these leads. Still a CS lead, though, for Control Alt Delete, so does still have that going, but of course it's going to be difficult to make that matter when you're giving over kills, so Look to see him play a little bit smarter in terms of positioning and try and call his jungle up there. I think that's one of the things that I want to see Team B do is have Leros go up there and try and affect this lane, but they may be looking bot lane right now. No TP to come out from the top lane as is usual and per standard with the new patch, because obviously you can't teleport to a minion or to a wave, but Leros Win and Big Daddy Colton, they have more than enough to put this down. Zilt's going to turn off the tower, and now Team BD, they're just going to knock down these two members. This is going to be a flash out from Melancholy. Can they get away? No, it's going to get slowed right now, trying to see if she can speed herself up. It's control of the lead, going to get stunned. Another flash. Doesn't have flash to get away from this one, though. It's just going to die straight up under turret, so a 1-for-1 in the end. Style, what can he get, though? Is going to trap himself underneath this tower. Is going to get stunned up again. Leros Win, though, eating the turret, is going to drop, and now that's one for Style. It has gone wrong for Team PD. It's gone horribly wrong. They give over 2 kills to Style, the champion that they absolutely did not want. Gold going over to that Zoe. And a fantastic turnaround for Sam Houston would look like such a clean play for Team PD. Ends up going back against them, and it's even worse because they picked up a kill or lost a kill in that top lane. iLucky getting another one, and then 2 in the bot lane. Leros Win just eating too much of that tower aggro. Now Sam Houston back in control of this game. About a 2K gold lead for them. Sam Houston going to be sitting pretty for that one, and the happiest member of all of the teams is going to be Style, who was going to be more than happy to pick up all of that gold from that trade in the bot lane. Yes, does die for it in the end, but Sam Houston winning big across the map. I mean, this is absolutely massive for them. They got all of the turret plates in the top lane. They got 2 kills in the bot lane. Style is going to... Sorry, Elite is just going to die again, or maybe not. Leros Win now here to protect his top laner after 9 minutes of gameplay. Grey Shadow feeling himself, though, not particularly worried about the Urgot. I have to be careful, though. Puts himself in ult range of the Urgot. Could turn nasty quickly, so just going to back all the way off. Sam Houston, just when you think a team might be starting to get a lead over them, or might be able to start to eke out advantages, Sam Houston just find a trade somewhere on the map that you just don't expect. But yes, the weakness of that bot lane for Sam Houston showing in those champions. Lulu still having difficulty to stop the ganks. And Misfortune not necessarily showing out enough damage to stop them, but they were level 5 in that trade, so we're obviously going to be vulnerable to any kind of gank. Fancying himself a fight with Ranger right now. Ult's going to come through from the Mandolin. Flash out of it by a Rescue Gall. This Ranger is going to get polymorph. Drops to the Cannon Barrage. Or sorry, not the Cannon Barrage. That's not the Cannon Barrage. That's Gangplank, but it doesn't matter because Escargot looking like a little bit of a Gangplank himself with this amount of damage. It's going to get shielded up by Melancholy. Bullet Time is the name of that ability. I don't know why I thought it was Gangplank, but Bullet Time comes out and kills Ranger. And Escargot, who started that fight, did have to flash the ulti from a Mandolin, though. Would have gone badly for him very, very quickly as Grey Shadow caught trying to clear the ward. Another dragon up now to be taken. You have to believe Sam Houston has the priority on this one, though. No way for Team BD to get into this one. The Herald is going to be popped mid, so now Sam Houston, a stock play for them. A distraction in the mid lane forced them to respond to the Herald while they focus on getting the dragon. As Leros Win going to get slapped for his trouble. They're trying to pop the Herald as Moonlight Vigil coming out for Ranger is going to land it, though, and enough long-range damage to pop Rescue Gall, who wasn't being wary of the abilities that Ranger had, is going to drop for that one, but the dragon still going over to Sam Houston in the end. So a trade of a kill for a dragon. Not too bad for Sam Houston. I want to continue to see Team BD to try to make trades like this, to try and continue looking for picks like this. May not necessarily be able to win out on the map right now, but any advantage, any small amount of gold that you can put in the pockets of players like Big Daddy Colton, any players like Ranger, the better off you're going to be in this late game if your Team PD is iLucky just incessantly going down on top of Elite. No junglers here, so is free to take this trade. Doesn't have a ward necessarily, though. Could look to dive underneath the turret. No, is going to get thrown back. Is getting hit by the turret. Can he get the kill in the end? No, not able to. Elite gets the suck in once again. Every time it's a 1-for-1, it does seem like he wins it. Is going to get grabbed in the end, so shutting down that top laner for Sam Houston, buying himself a little bit of a reprieve to try and get some turret plates of his own. A fantastic trade there. iLucky just miscalculating the damage that he was going to be able to do to get on top of Elite. Got thrown back in the tower, and obviously doing any damage to that Urgot is going to incur its wrath, as you would expect. As again, apologize for the technical issues as the game is getting paused once again. And just like that, it starts back up again. It's excruciating having to watch those pauses because I'm trying to cast the game in real time, and of course, League decides otherwise. But So Sam Houston giving over some plays here that they don't necessarily need to be, and a little bit of a disrespect there for the Sam Houston top laner, thinking he was just going to be able to kill Colt, and losing almost half his health bar from one extended Q from Zoe. That one, you always hate to see it, as Laroswin deciding he wants to go in on here. Ulti is going to charm up a Shreshkagal, who has no flash, so is going to drop kill. The final Q auto there from Laroswin, enough to pick that one up. Laros gets himself out. Eats a Q, though. Zoe Q's hurt so much. Did have that Prowler's Claw, so could have looked to maybe extend that play, but decides not to. Holding on to that one for now. So Reshkagal getting caught, and this is what we have noticed from Sam Houston. They are in the driver's seat a lot of these times. They do make great cross-map plays, but a lot of times they give over some of these opportunities they don't necessarily need to, and this one's going to hurt because it's going to be a turret going down for them. Team BD starting to find incremental ways back into the series and back into this game, and one tower at a time is how they do it. And as a result of giving over that kill in the top lane too, the level lead is going to go back over to control Old Elite, who does still have a significant CS advantage, so is making use of that. Does have his Hull Breaker before the Gwen, so going to be very difficult to stop him now that he is moving on turrets. It's going to get spotted out. Style going to get stunned up right there. Does have the barrier at his disposal if he thinks he's in trouble, but not too concerned about it right now, as the wave is going to get shoved in under the tower. And Sam Houston, what I want to see them do is I want to see them try and pick up this top lane turret if they can, knock this down, and give iLucky a chance to get out of this. Is Grey Shadow may be in trouble, gets thrown back. iLucky is here now, but the health bar advantage certainly there for Team BD. iLucky trying to see if he can knock this turret down, but this is not where he belongs. He's going to get killed here, as he's going to get stunned up underneath him. It's another ulti. Is going to get sucked in by Control of the Elite. Doesn't even get the tower. And now Sam Houston, they've bitten off more than they could chew, as the entirety of Team BD is here. Moonlight Visual coming down. Unstoppable for Laros when can he manage to run him down. No, not going to be able to. Style has one more flash. Isn't going to be able to run out, though. Sam Houston caught overextending and punished for their greed. Team BD walking away with a couple of hundred gold on that one. Not elite at the end, but they're more than happy to get that gold onto some important members of their team and shut down this momentum that Sam Houston revealing. And this is exactly what we were talking about just a minute ago. Sam Houston making plays that they don't need to be making, getting a little bit over aggressive. This is a team that is normally patient, but does have a penchant to give over some opportunities to their team. And now Control of the Elite, maybe caught out here again, is stunned. And even as I said, opportunistic. Sam Houston trying to see if they can run him down. Grey Shadow doesn't have another toss, is going to likely just die here. And it's going to drop at the end. iLucky going to be the recipient of that kill. Shut down onto the Urgot, so that gold going straight in his pocket. Does now have the Hull Breaker himself, so we'll be able to get that top lane turret if he does want to do so, but with no vision. We'll have to be careful. Resets, though, coming in that top side for Mandolin and for Ranger. Sam Houston trying to avoid disaster, giving over some of those plays. It's always a danger whenever you're ahead. You feel like you're a little bit farther ahead than you really are, and that was an example right there. Sam Houston just overreaching just a little bit. Again, thinking that they had the damage to kill Control the Elite, but who managed to survive. And you get within that threshold, that quarter health threshold, it becomes very difficult to kill the Urgot. Gets the fear off at a team fight, and that's what Sam Houston need to be wary of, because five-man fear by an Urgot becomes very, very sticky situation for them really quickly. As Laroswin going to lose a quarter of his health. The heal coming out from Ranger, try and keep their jungler safe. But again, that poke we talked about for Sam Houston starting to come out. Zoe, an obnoxious champion to try and contest whenever they're a mutual objective, just able to throw out the Sleepy Trouble Bubbles and hit those Qs from long range. Mandolin dropping from full health to below half. Team BD not willing to let this go. Control of the Lead. He's trying to find a way in, trying to zone off multiple members of this Sam Houston squad. Meanwhile, on the top lane, iLucky trading for a turret right now is going to be able to get that. So Sam Houston may just choose to waste time here. Let's see if they can get the Dragon. Bullet time going to go wide, hit onto none. And the Dragon is going to get stolen. Sam Houston got a Shadow, managed to get the smite. Now Sam Houston, what else can they get? They got the Dragon, but can they get out? They do get one tail. Laroswin trying to see if he can get on top of multiple members. It's the TP coming out from Urgot, so they lose the Dragon, but get one kill in return. If you're Sam Houston, you're happy with that trade because you get the turret in the top lane at the end. Is Colton gonna get hit? Oh, nearly drops, but he's gonna get stunned up, and now this is gonna go back. Style, no! Oh, not like that. He got greedy, didn't know that the Anivia was waiting in the wings, and got punished. So a kill being turned over there to Team BD. Yes, they do lose the Dragon, they lose the turret, but they get the shutdown gold on Style, and that's pretty good for them. Sam Houston in a precarious situation right now. Yes, they do get the Dragon, but Team BD are really in a better spot right now, especially with some of the itemization coming out. And again, difficult to judge the relative strength of either of these teams because of how difficult it is for both of them to try and pull off what they want to do. Because if you're Team BD, you're trying to contest for these neutral objectives, and you're trying to get in a spot where you can start to win these team fights, but it's so difficult when you have Style on this Zoe, just throwing Sleepy Trouble bubbles over the wall, just hitting Qs, constantly poking your lower health members down, even doing damage to your highest health member, both with the Urgot and with the Volley Bear is just so difficult. As Control of Delete. You don't belong here, sir. You're going to get killed again. Is going to get stunned. Not going to be able to toss anyone away from him, so now the exhaust going to come out. Style will look to try and pick this one up. No shutdown gold yet on Elite, though, but now Loroswin has joined the fight. Control of Elite took so long to kill. Is going to go Drowsy. Can he get the suppression? Yes, he does. Is he going to drop in the end? Tries to get the heal out from this shield. Is trying to make this way, though. Escargol is going to be able to run up to him and kill him. So that's one dropping, 1-for-1 so far for both these teams. But meanwhile, in the mid lane, though, Team BD trading for this turret. You see Style trying to make his way down there. Team BD, can they get this before they're in danger of the Zoe killing both of them? Should be able to. So the blue turret going to go down. Loroswin running away from Melicol and Peach. And Rescue, if they can slow him down, this could be a kill, but does have the blast cone, so going to be able to make it to safety. And Team BD starting to eke out small leads here, starting to eke out advantages on the map, having more room to walk around. Knocking down some of these turrets and starting to get some of their important members the gold that they need. Urgot starting to reach the point that he needs to. Once he gets the second and third item, it's going to be very difficult to deal with. Holton also is trying to work towards the second item. But most importantly, Ranger 4-2-1 has that Immortal Shield Bow, is likely starting to work towards another armor shredding item to try to peel through iLucky and Grey Shadow. And obviously that'll help just in general with the other members of Sam Houston. Oh my word, great. Oh no, he steps into the Drowsy, tries to flash out. SHSU Style manages to get it. Oh no, he looked like he was going to survive. Style gets him beneath the turret. It looked like he had made it out, but missteps back into the sleep. And now Sam Houston, now with that damage threat gone there on the side of Team BD, now they have the opportunity to force this in. Style walking in the turret range not once but twice. Does pick up the flash though. Grey Shadow here just to assist the minion wave in. Another Dragon not up for another minute 40, so a little bit of fighting to do. Style forced to flash out. Didn't want to get stunned by Colton. Was likely out of range for that. But a respect flash nonetheless. Didn't want to get stunned up. And again, just a trade of individual kills here, though. This is where you start to see some of the danger of Zoe being able to pick up some of those squishier members on the side of Team BD, and this is the difficulty that Team BD are going to have. Loroswin trying to fight for his red buff, but may not be able to get it. Goes unstoppable to try and get out. Ulti coming out from Mandolin. Can he survive? Loroswin manages to turn it around to get stunned on the Grey Shadow. The ulti coming out from Lulu. And now Sam Houston beat retreat here on this one. Low health members there, don't want to stay any longer. Meanwhile, on the bot lane, Control Alt Delete just pressing there. Team BD likely going to want to try and push this one with the Dragon coming up. Don't want Sam Houston to reset while they have the advantage. Escargol, again, just trying to stun. Gets stunned up though. The wall and the root down on top of it. Sam Houston, as the pause is going to come out, somebody disconnected. This is surely Escargol going down. There's going to be another stun there. Is he going to be able to go away? No, he's not. And now that should just be the Dragon going the way of Sam Houston. Is they're going to be able to force go the way of Team BD. Is they're going to be able to force their way into this bot side jungle, into this Sam Houston quadrant, to be able to set up vision that will allow them to pick some of these members of this Sam Houston squad. They should be looking for this Zoe, though. He's going to step on a ward. It's going to get stunned up, though. Now, can she survive? It's another root, and no! Is a suppression going down the way of Control Alt Delete, and that's the Zoe going down. That was the poke damage that Sam Houston were going to need to try and set up some damage on the members of Team BD. Style dropping means that this should just be the free objective now for Team BD. And exactly what they needed to get ready for this fight. 10 seconds. There's no way that he'll be able to come up for this one. So the objective going the way of Team BD and more. 12-9 so far. Less than a 1K gold lead, though, so far. Even despite the ability to pick off some of these members of Sam Houston and get some of these objectives, both in the turret gold and in the structure gold. Well, structure gold and turret gold are basically the same. I don't know why I just said that, but being able to pick up some of this structure gold for them, even despite having that, still not enough to give them enough separation between them and Sam Houston. So plenty of opportunities. Is iLucky. Oh, he's going to get caught here. Is lightning going to land on top of him? Where else is going to stun him? And then the ulti coming out on top of him from Colt. And iLucky just going to drop here. Oh, tried to trade onto one. Trying to get on top of Ranger, but not able to do so. And another pick here for the side of Team BD. Sam Houston starting to slip a little bit. Oh no! Oh no! Get caught backing in the wrong spot! The body blocked by the Ranger. Can he get out? Leros managed to eat up all of that though. Oh, that looks so sketchy. Rescue going to flash towards, but answered immediately by Colton. Did not want to let that double tap land on any of the other members. It would have surely been Ranger dropping if it had landed onto him. So respect flash blown there by the Anivia. Style trying to get on top of this blue buff just to try and steal it away. Would find himself in a bad spot if he tried to get any closer, though. A lot of summoners there for this Team BD team to use. Control the lead in this top lane, and now Grey Shadow trying to run in here on top of Control the lead, but there's no help. There's no follow-up for this. Grey Shadow needs to get himself out of here if he wants to try and live this, because help is a long, long way away. Yes, you can't stun him. Yes, you could try and buy time, but Control the lead, not necessarily worried about this. Grey Shadow not going to be able to take this 1v1 for very long. Trying to stun him, just trying to buy time, and now iLucky is here, though. And now Control the lead. What can he do? If he can get this spear down from Shadow, if he can get this ultimate, might be able to find his way out of here, but no, it's the 5-man squad coming from Sam Houston. The Control the lead is just going to die. Wasn't able to get himself out of that 1v1. Shadow just wasting time, and now Sam Houston might be looking for this Baron. No top laner for the side of Team BD, so a large amount of their damage gone. Does still have Ranger, does still have the Jungler and Leros window, so not necessarily a safe take. It's always a 50-50. The other Jungler is up, so not necessarily willing to coin flip this right now. Look to see them try and get another pick. If they can get a kill down onto Ranger or onto Leros win, this should just be the Baron going over to them. No, just decided to peel off of it right now. As a side note, I want to point out that Styles right now does have a Shirellia just as an active item that's being able to use. The pause going to come out here. We'll look to see what that pause might be. And again, for Sam Houston, so important that they get their members in place to start utilizing this comp that they've put together. Start to control some of these areas and make their way in before Team BD can get there, because it does feel like once Team BD gets set, it's very difficult to dislodge them from their spot. And they have a lot of CC to punish some of these members. This is exactly what I want to see them do. Start to use these Sleepy Trouble bubbles, start to set up Style to poke some of these members here and prevent Team BD from getting set up. And now that Elite has respawn, it's going to be difficult for them to try and take a 5v5 team fight just outright. Sam Houston looking to pick a couple of these low health members. They want to try and pick Ranger on this Aphelios. Want to try and pick these supports, maybe even get the Anivia, who's dropping below half health, is going to get healed up, though, by the Seraphine and by the heal blown by Ranger. So now, Team BD, now they're going to be able to shove this way out. This is where Sam Houston are going to struggle. The stun's going to land on top of the Lulu, and now the fight begins. Team BD ready to kick this off. Melancholy Pete's the first one to follow. What else can Team BD do, though? Trying to go down on top of the Gwen. Not able to do it, though, and now Sam Houston trading the damage back, though. None of those members dropping as the pressure comes out. Elite gets to fear onto 2, and now it's the follow-up from the rest of the team. Sam Houston dropping, and Style not able to get the damage to stick, and now this should just be the Baron going their way. A great fight from Team BD. Managed to get in there and get the 2-man fear from the side of the Urgot. Managing to get enough damage to get the ulti to go through. Sam Houston, again, we talked about that's where they struggle. They have to be set up before Team BD, because if you're not, you cannot fight this Team BD squad who have so much CC, so much damage, have the ability to just set up anywhere on the map. Once they're set, very difficult to dislodge, and Sam Houston just got pulled apart. It looked like they weren't quite sure whether or not they wanted to go towards the mid lane and answer the push, or whether or not they wanted to just try and contest for Baron, but obviously a little bit of a miscommunication there from the team, so just got pulled in a couple of directions, and that was all the Team BD needed to make the most of that one. That stun coming out from on top of the Lulu, making sure that she couldn't ult to save any of the other team members or even herself. And now Team BD, they're going to rush towards this dragon, going to force another fight. This could be the nail in the coffin for Sam Houston if they navigate this team fight poorly with Baron on 5 members of Team BD. It would be all that they need to end this out. The respawn timers, even though in the 30-second-ish timing, more than enough with the items that this Team BD squad has to knock down the base. And again, Sam Houston, they needed to be first, and they're not. So now Team BD is set up in this side of the... set up in the river. Very difficult to get them. Oh, SHSU Style landing the fear from the sleep from so far away, but Ranger not dropping. So we split up from the team right now. Ranger gonna make his way back. Needs to get over to the Seraphine to get healed up. Does not have Summoner Heal to use. Is gonna eat up the fruit there. Now the dragon is spawned, so now Sam Houston gonna have to start leading. Oh no, Shadow got grabbed, is forced to flash out. Tries to get a land on top of the Seraphine though. Style looking for something. Manages to bring him below half, but it's not a kill. And now the Dragon is on this side for Team BD. They might be able to stall this out. Sam Houston not able to get in. No one stepping on top of the bubble. Teleport in from the side of Sam Houston as iLucky trying to get in. Team BD, can they make their way out of this one? iLucky trying to run somebody down. Gray Shadow has the speed. Wall going to come out, but Sam Houston not willing to let this go. Not willing to let that Dragon go down for free. Control Alt Delete. Going to have to try and avoid everything. Heal coming out. Can he survive long enough? No, he's going to get deleted. Rescue Goal to pick up that one, but now Team BD trying to see if they can turn it around. Sam Houston, they have to run. Low health bars. Style trying to land these poke from the side of the wall, trying to hit over and force Team BD back all the way off. So it's the Dragon pickup there for Team BD. Sam Houston gets a kill in the end. But if you're Team BD, you're happy with the trade because now you're on Soul Point and you still have the Baron, so they're going to be able to back all the way off. iLucky in that interim was shoving in that top lane, was managing to get some gold in return for the Dragon, but TP'd a little bit late to stop the Dragon from going down. Sam Houston is a little bit on the back foot right now because now they're on Soul Point, which means now Team BD gets to dictate the pace of the game. They get to dictate when and where the fights happen because the next Dragon Sam Houston are going to have to fight for or risk giving it up. This could be another Ocean Drake, which is fantastic for this Team BD comp to negate a lot of this poke and this damage that's coming over the walls and from screens away that Sam Houston are throwing out. And out of all the Drakes that Team BD could get, this Ocean Drake is going to be the best to help them stave off the Zoe. But Sam Houston, though, starting to mount a little bit more of their damage, especially with the Zoe and with the Gwen, starting to reach the stage where they're very difficult to deal with, especially the Zoe, who's going to be working on this death cap now, surely. Trying to make those Qs hurt a lot more. Some of these members on the side of Team PD just barely managing to survive a lot of this damage that Zoe's throwing out, but with a death cap, it's going to be instant death almost every time. So look to see Zoe really start to focus on farming, trying to pick up as much of this gold as she can. And Style is going to be the big pivotal part of this team for Sam Houston. A lot of the success that they've had has relied off of him, and that is no less true in this game. So you have to think that a team fight win is going to come off the back of Style to start eliminating a couple of these squishier health members on the side of Team BD, to delete Ranger, to try and delete Colton before they can get set up, before they can get their feet planted. Shadow trying to hold off Elite right now. Is not going to be able to do so for very long without help, though, so he's just going to run out. Just trying to hit this wave and prevent Elite from being able to shove it too far forward, but with the coverage that he has there in the jungle from the Anivia, it's going to be very difficult to stop him. Style trying to see what he can do. Gray Shadow not stopped by the wall, managed to get around, but now the rest of the team is here. Stun going to go wide from Colton again. And now Sam Houston is here. Lost One does have the ulti, though. Bubble going to go wide from Sam Houston, so they choose to back off. At least behind the safety of this next minion wave. No split push for either of these teams right now, though, with the exception, of Lucky, who I lost track of, in that bot lane. So now, Team PD, you're going to have to choose your moment. Is Elite going to get stunned up? Style going to hit him. Is going to drop to half. And again, Sam Houston, they're more than happy to waste time right here because they have someone in that bot lane just slowly pushing on these turrets, and they're not going to let Team BD back. Keeping eye on them as Elite got stunned up again. Now Zoe, they're starting to get in the point where they're going to have to back off or lose members. The health bar started to go low. Is Ranger falling asleep? I don't know. The game going to sleep at the wrong moment. Now Gray Shadow, what else can he go? No, the ulti's going to come out from the Mandolin. And now this is the time to fight if you're BD. Bull time to come out on to 3. Polymorph on top of Cleoswin manages to get out. Sam Houston lose their jungler, and now what else can they get, though? Is meanwhile in the bot lane, Team BD, they've got to find a way out of this one because they have someone knocking down onto the doors of their base. And now, so far, it's one member down for Sam Houston. It's 1-1 so far, but no, it's another trade. 2 for 2 so far. Rescue shutting down Luroswin. And a fairly even trade, but iLucky managing to get that inhibitor in the bot lane. That's huge for Sam Houston. That gets them back in this game because now they have a point to play around on this map. 50 seconds until the next Ocean Drake. That gives them the chance to fight for this one. The 2 members down on both sides. They will both be up, though, for this dragon fight unless both teams fancy a 3-on-3 when this objective spawns. And Sam Houston wasted so much of TBD's time in that top lane, just allowing iLucky to start knocking down that bot lane turret, get onto the inhibitor turret and knock it down as well. The inhibitor. So a lot of that gold going into his pocket. iLucky may be caught here, though. Maybe trying to pinch onto Elite. Sort of a question of who's catching who in that one. Both teams just pass each other like ships in the night and walk by. As we're seeing the couple of members from TPD make their way down here as Control Elite's going to clear out the ward. This is it. This is probably the last major fight of this game because the winner, if they get team wiped, this could be it. They could be having their base seized. There's an open inhibitor down in the bot lane now. iLucky choosing to go top lane, choosing to flip this, choosing to force Team BD to respond to him. No! Style managing to pick it up, and now Sam Houston are going to have to find their way out of this one. So Sam Houston gets the dragon. Elite going to go to asleep and then go to extra asleep in that gray screen, and now iLucky in that top lane. He started to hit onto the inhibitors. Has already gotten that one, and now Sam Houston trying to run down the remainder of Team BD. Can they get back to their base? It's in shambles. And now this Gwen trying to end the game right now, trying to put the game at a match point. Baghdadi Colton not able to do it. Trades 1-for-1, but that's not where they need him because iLucky's hitting onto the turret. He wants to end this game right now. Can he do it? He's trying to buy time. No, he's not going to be able to. He's going to drop it. Sam Houston, they're still sieging onto the base. He's going to be triple waves of super minions because his mid lane inhibitor is going to go down. Sam Houston, do they want to try and press for this? Do they think they have enough members? Styles still have plenty of mana. Grace Channel covering for his mid laner. And Team BD, they're trying to hold on, trying to clear out these minion waves, but with triple supers coming in, they only have so long. Escargot hitting on top of the base. Oh no, they let it go, and he damages it. Sam Houston win 2-0 over Team BD.